Well, I'm also curious about your feeling towards the depiction of bipolar disease in sort of popular culture. You know, sometimes the depiction seems, it's just going to focus on the mania. There was a movie not that long ago with Richard Gere, I think, as a bipolar uh, a person with bipolar disease.
Oh, really? I'm
Um,
sorry, I missed that.
I think it was. I'm not sure. I didn't see the movie. I'm not a
Okay.
big Richard Gere
Okay.
fan. Sorry,
Oh, I
Richard
am.
Gere.
Okay.
I knew he was going to talk to me soon, but now he won't.
Oh.
But no, but I'm curious. How do you feel that it's portrayed in the
Well,
public
it's
opinion?
interesting you asked that. I am involved in some organizations that try to, I wouldn't say regulate the depiction of bipolar disorder, but have an impact on it because I think ever since Britney Spears, with the whole controversy about is Britney bipolar, which happened just about the time my book came out, which actually turned out to be pretty good for sales. Um,
Thanks, Brittany.
thank you for that. Well, it did popularize the term bipolar, but it's unfortunately being used in such common parlance that I'm afraid it's losing its impact as a truly serious illness, where something like 1 in 4 people attempt to commit suicide. I mean, it really is not just, oh, he or she is bipolar today. I don't want it to lose its impact, and I'm a little afraid that's happening.
Okay. And it seems to me that may be kind of what happened with the earlier term manic depression. It
Yes.
seems like that when it was redefined as bipolar had a lot to do with sort of redefining the terms of the disease in sort of not only medical but popular. Is that
Well, I think there was the, I'm not a fan of bipolar disorder as a term. I prefer manic depression. There's something that smacks of political correctness with bipolar disorder, as if we're, first of all, it's not bipolar. There are many states in between. So I guess manic depression has that same problem. But um, I don't like the sense of we had to clean it up.
hmm
That's how it felt to me.
okay? You often employ a surprising first line that functions as almost as a thesis for the
Oh,
rest of the
God, I
piece.
try. Thank you.
So, so I'm curious. I woke up strapped to a bed, covered in a thick gray charcoal vomit, and desperately needing to pee. So that sort of forces you to read the
My
rest.
mother hated that line so much. You have no idea. She wanted me to take that out. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. How did you come upon that as a style of writing?
I write my first lines after I write my stories.
Okay.
Once in a rare while, I'll hit upon a line like the beginning of my book. I didn't tell anyone I was going to Santa Fe to kill myself. That came to me, and that became the impetus for the story.
Mhm.
But generally, I will write my first line last, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, then you've solidified what
Right.
that piece is going to be about. The thing that I found interesting is that you don't title the pieces. In a w-
But I did, and they took them out. I
oh, okay.
did, and I liked my titles, and I worked hard on them, but I'm not a great titler, so perhaps that was smart on their
Well, I
part.
kind of, as I read it, I thought, well, these first lines are really the titles of the pieces,
Oh,
but they're
interesting.
not done to show themselves as titles. So that's
Interesting.
how I read them. Is each of these function in that way, but they're not delivered in this fashion. And I thought that was just a really interesting authorial choice. But now,
That's
you've
now
let
my authorial choice. Thank you.
you've let the cat out of the bag, and we're doing that. Tell me about the work you're doing with bipolar children now, please.
Well, it's not bipolar children so much
It's
as I'm working with people with what's called a dual diagnosis, which
mhm,
is any form of mental illness combined with any form of substance abuse, which is a huge part of the population. And I run a group at UCLA every week that focuses on that, which is terrific. I'm also involved with the California Bipolar Foundation, which is involved very much with children and with special education programs for children with bipolar disorder, and organizations, as I mentioned earlier, for the um, more enlightened depiction of the disease in media. So there's been a lot of opportunities that have come my way through Manic that I'm thrilled to be working with.
Do you get to work with the kids on with these different populations rather on a lot of writing? Is that always part of it, or is that just
No, that's
getting-
my own personal mission, though, is
Okay.
to get people, even if they don't necessarily write it down, if they begin to share their stories, I think they find what happened with me was I shared my stories with these, quote, normal people in writing groups. And there was a universality to it that I never expected. And I think the more that I hear people share their stories about bipolar disorder, they will feel recognition from other people, and the stigma, it just gets incrementally less and less each time you do that.
You mentioned in the book that after one of your hospitalizations, you vowed to always have white walls in your house, plain walls. Do you still follow that rule?
I have white walls at my house, yes. I will have no olive green walls for the rest of my life. I've seen enough of them. Gray walls, olive green walls, bad wallpaper.
Okay. I was just curious whether that was still
Clean white walls
clean
with
white
as
walls.
few things on them as possible. I prefer a zen-like atmosphere.
I used to paint houses, and I was always surprised by the choices that people made. I was also always surprised when they would ask my opinion, because I'm partially colorblind, and I had never had an opinion. That's fine. Paint it pink. I don't care.